I was very impressed. Especially with what this does and where it leads.
Yeah.
A weaker cast would have dropped the ball.
You know, I wish I had someone I could talk to about the things that were happening in my house.
It's insane, right? Art the clown.
I'm something different.
Hello, friends, and welcome back to another Modern Horror Movie Talk. I'm your host, Tyler Nichols, and Lance Vlcek back for another one. Lance, how you doing?
Good, buddy. How you been?
I am doing great, and I'm doing even better because I have been waiting to talk about this movie for just about 2 months, and the embargo was up on the 19th, so I will talk to anyone that will listen about this film because I am a big fan of it. But we're not talking about the movie yet. We got some other stuff to go over. What you drinking?
Okay, last time I was out east, I got this City Gate peanut butter whiskey. It's okay. It's not bad. It's I would call like a day drink. And I am going to finish it off because that's all I have. What about you?
Is that the same peanut butter whiskey brand that I've had?
That's probably the same bottle. Or maybe not, but yes, it is the exact one.
Yeah, that stuff's brutal.
I don't own it, so, you know.
So I actually got a local Michigan pop. It is a vanilla cream soda from Henry Weinhard's, and I also have a little something else since I am not drinking. I got a little tincture, and I was put that stuff in there. And
oh, you took too much, man. You took too much.
They'll trace the call, put you straight behind bars.
We'll see. This is my first time with it, so if I'm in a stupor by the end, you guys will know. You have a towel
over your head. You're on the bed. It's all shaking, you know.
Well, and I also have this badass, like old school 60s Batman mug. Nice. Yeah. So right. Cheers to you. Cheers to our wonderful viewers, and cheers to some Cobweb. So before we even get into the movie itself, I just want to say thank you to our lovely viewers for their support over ever since we've started the channel, but last few weeks it's been great. The comments in particular have been fun to interact with. In particular, the Mission Impossible video that Lance and I just did this past week. It was a little off from what we usually do, but we're just trying to branch out and do some other interesting things, and so expect similar stuff in the future, except probably more. We'll probably do something like that, but with a horror franchise.
Yeah. Mission Impossible is a little off kilter, but you and me just love stunts and action. So I was like, what the hell? Let's rock it out.
Yeah, it was mostly a thing of like us discovering that, oh my God, we're both like really into this series, so we may as well record an episode while we talk about it.
Why not?
Yeah. And so, thanks again for that. And I also wanted to bring up how today's movie will actually be the last of the new release films that we will be covering on Modern Horror Movie Talk, because we will be shifting gears a little bit and just doing modern releases. So modern horror that has been released in the last 10 years. At the end of the episode, we will let you know what our first, of the new format will be. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, first we got some Cobweb to discuss. Horror strikes when an 8-year-old boy named Peter tries to investigate the mysterious knocking noises that are coming from inside the walls of his house, and a dark secret that his sinister parents kept hidden from him. So did you know anything about this movie?
We talked, I forget what episode, I think it was like a summer movie preview or something like that, and there wasn't even a trailer when we discussed it. And then I watched the trailer, I think the next day or whenever it came out. It conveniently came out like right after the episode aired or recorded. And I remember it was an okay trailer. It seemed fine. I was like, that could be either fun or super generic, and I remember nothing else. And it's probably for the best, because this movie goes in places that I didn't expect, and I'm glad the trailer didn't ruin it, or was such a generic trailer that I just didn't give a shit. So it worked out in its favor.
Yeah.
So no, I knew nothing.
See, that's awesome. And I actually am in a very similar boat, because I actually watched this film before a trailer was even released. The only thing that I knew about this movie was that Lizzy Caplan holds a tray of like cupcakes with candles in them, and that it's about a kid and his like abusive parents. That was the only thing I knew going into this movie, and so I was blown away And I should state right up front, our non-spoiler section is going to be very short on this because there's just a lot to talk about spoiler-wise. And also, I don't want to accidentally spoil something for someone that has not seen this movie because it's got a very, I don't know, an awesome third act that I think just needs to be experienced for the first time. So first question for you is, do you have any experience with the father in this movie, Antony Starr?
No, I know of him because he's in a lot of memes. I know of The Boys. I've never watched it. We've discussed off camera. I'm not the biggest superhero guy. It's just, I think I've seen 3 movies in the last 15 years, maybe. Outside, obviously, the Nolan films. So I know what he looks like. I've never seen him act before. I think he was fantastic. Accent was a little weird, but it wasn't bad. Yeah. It wasn't bad, but I could always tell when somebody is not from America because their inflection is non-existent. It's always the same. Yes, we got to go. But he played off, man. I was like, this guy seems like a murderer. So I'm assuming, but he's also kind of a bad guy in The Boys, right? Isn't he like an evil Superman?
So he's not just a bad guy. He is the most evil bad guy that you could ever imagine. Some of the stuff that he does in that show are all-time despicable acts.
But that's his wheelhouse is yes. Playing a villain because he did great. He did great.
And I think that they're also using your expectations of him being a villain for the film, where I think that his casting is very intentional, very, very intentional. Yeah. We'll get into more of that when we go into spoilers. But I also I'm a big fan of Lizzy Caplan, and I think that she plays such an interesting part here because it's so different from anything that I've ever seen her do. And it's almost like she's playing Shelley Duvall in The Shining. And so there was so much about her performance that at the beginning I was like, what is going on here? She's doing something very strange. But by the end, I loved it. And I've actually watched this movie 3 different times, so I think that even on a rewatch it gets better and better.
I should say I've just seen it once and I saw it last night, so I clearly there's gonna be things you catch that I won't. I will say this though, the tone is kind of weird in the beginning. I wasn't really sure this was going. Now I actually don't really know Lizzy Caplan at all. She was amazing, knockout. I've only seen her in one thing, which was I don't know if it was on Hulu. I think it might have been Hulu. There was this interesting show that was very hit or miss. When it hit, it had some brilliant moments, and it also really missed a lot of swings. It was called Castle Rock. It was like a Stephen King universe, but not on a specific Stephen King book. And the reason I bring this up is she plays a sort of a prequel version of Annie Wilkes from the
Misery.
Rob Reiner movie, Misery. Yeah, sorry, one of those days. And I'm going to say, though, it's a very similar character that she plays here in terms of like an shucks, good old-fashioned mom.
Oh, okay.
So it was similar, though this was different. But it is that sort of weird, outdated style, and I really didn't know where they're going to go with it, and I'm happy where they did because I think the first 20 minutes may turn people off because it kind of because totally it's like it sets up 3 different things. I'm not going to say what those are, but I remember being like, okay, is this going to be kind of fun? Is going to be more supernatural, or is this going to turn to something else? So is this an act? Where are we going with this? Because I was like, is this supposed to be modern? And is it not? It's kind of a weird setup of like what they were doing. I was like, I don't really know where this is meant to take place. And then obviously it makes a lot more sense going forward. But just real quick, she was amazing. And so was, what's his fucking name? Antony Starr. Sorry, don't know him. New Zealand actor though. And that's my favorite country. So
Homelander. I always call him Homelander.
Oh, is that the Superman?
That's his name in The Boys. Yeah, Homelander.
This movie is those 2, and of course Peter played by
Woody Norman.
Oh, dude, that so kid knocks it out. Performance-wise, I would say this is solid as can be. Everybody, man, holds their own. I was very impressed. Impressed, especially with what this does and where it leads.
Yeah,
a weaker cast would have dropped the ball.
The fact that Peter is not an annoying character is just hats off to Woody Norman because
kids are rough, and he was great.
I am one of those people that I don't like kids. I don't have kids. I don't plan on having kids. I'm not a fan of kids. And so I don't usually like them in movies. And when one works, I'm just like, and Woody Norman absolutely destroys it here. In fact, I'm really disappointed because of the SAG actor strike, I was supposed to interview Antony Starr and Woody Norman, and potentially Cleopatra Coleman, the teacher. So I was like,
Miss Divine.
I know that you're a big fan of Infinity Pool, and so did you notice that Miss Divine is the wife from Infinity Pool?
No, it didn't even click.
Yeah,
I haven't seen it since the first time I was waiting for that Steelbook, the unrated one.
Yes.
No, I didn't. But she was great too. Like I said, the acting is in this movie is solid. It's very solid. I think that really, really helps a lot of where they go and how it kind of unfolds.
Yeah, because it's a slow burn. It's very much a slow burn. And so if you don't have those good performances, then I think that it can be longer journey.
But let's not, hold on. I got a list because I don't know any of these people. Sam, I think it's Bodine or Bowden. It's French. Of course he's French because the French, they know they're horror, man.
Yeah.
And the cinematographer is Philip Lozano. I hope I'm saying that correctly. I would argue the look and feel of this movie does a lot of lifting as well. Like those performances mixed with how this feels and how it's blocked. Yeah. I mean, it's a beautiful looking movie and they really know how to build the tension. It's a very uneasy movie. And I'm not saying I don't get scared at this age. I've always said this. You know what scares me? Traffic, taxes, I keep waking up like,
children.
Good. Yeah. Oh my gosh. But I was like, there's a couple points. I was like, I feel uneasy. I was like, and I like that. I love that feeling. I get excited. I'm like, ooh, I get giddy. I'm like, I feel a little off. And this does that well.
The opening, I think it's literally the opening shot. Peter's walking up to the school, and right away I was like, yes, this is a beautifully shot movie. Thank God.
The pumpkin patch in the backyard, how that's shot as well. I mean, just
yes, they love, and how they play with darkness in this a lot. There's a lot of the cinematography. There are some shots in this that just blew my mind. There is a silhouetted shot of Peter's on the staircase and his parents are talking in front of the fireplace.
Yeah. It's like it's all shadows. Yeah, it's cool.
It is so good. There's
one later on. Okay, cool. Let me just say this. It's a great movie. I absolutely recommend it. One of the best movies I've seen all year. I don't think it's going to be for everybody, but I think if you open your heart, I think you will find this to be very enjoyable. I'd like to talk about spoilers though, because I feel like I'm sitting here.
I know. I'm proud of us for the fact that we were able to talk about so much and not talk about.
I guess people are going to be like, I sound like I'm just using big words. I'm like, yeah, it's good.
No, okay, spoilers. So I will say right now, I did not see that twist coming, and I'm really hoping that the poster does not spoil it for people.
Or more trailers.
Yes, to be fair, I have only seen the one trailer, and so I do not know if they did, because that was one thing that after I watched the movie, I watched the trailer and was so happy that they don't hint at it.
Well, they don't hint at anything, though, because the trailer walks that line, which is why I think the movie does so well, is because the movie is at the beginning, we don't really know what's going on. It's weird. Oh, it might be supernatural. Oh, it's a supernatural. There's a ghost in the wall. And then, about maybe halfway, maybe a little less than halfway, then it turns into, no, it's not a ghost in the wall. It's a child because the parents are kidnapping murderers. Like this is people on the stairs. And that is for a good chunk of the movie. And they do so well with these little red herrings and things where like, it still makes sense after the twist, but they set it up in a way where I'm like, oh, maybe, oh no. And the more you learn, like these fucking parents, that guy, that Homelander guy and Annie Wilkes, they're in on it. And up until that one moment on the stairs, they have you hook and sinker, and that's when it turns into third act.
There's a specific line that it's like it specifically shifts. It's she's on the floor, Lizzy Caplan's on the floor, and she says like something like "Don't let her out." I
know. So okay, we got to talk about this real quick. I have 3 issues with this movie. That is one of them. I would easily cut that out because I think it would be so much. You want to know why? Because up until that point, you still are pretty much thinking there might be a little suspicion in your head, but you're pretty much thinking he did the right thing. Take that line out, and he goes up and unlocks it. And that means the first time we realize that we're all fucking wrong was when it's like, thank you. And I would have came right there. When that moment, when he opens the door and you see the monster, that's when we know that, oh, we all made a mistake, would have been perfect. Her giving it up a minute before, I was like, man, you should have kept the that ace up your sleeve just a little bit.
I couldn't disagree more. That moment for me is just, it hits, even on repeated viewings, it hits so well and is just such a good shift where, I mean, I'm not going to deny that then that shift would be cool.
Open the door thinking we got it. And then you see the face.
But then you got that extra little bit of like, he's doing it. He knows, like he still doesn't, it's like that him not trusting his mom. Him still
he
not
walks
believing.
He's a little off, but I would prefer to think that we're the heroes up until the last moment personally. Yeah. I like that approach. Though my girlfriend pointed out, because I asked her, I said, when did you know? She goes, when the dad went to call 911 and the phone was cut. She goes, they would never call 911 if they were like kidnapping, murdering children. I go, fair enough. I think they played it well enough though, where I thought he was willing to go to jail to not die. So I thought that's a good middle ground of like, they do kind of hint, but you could argue each way. Mm-hmm. But her dying breath saying, don't let her out, was, to me, that was saying, oh, now the twist is happening. The parents are actually the good guys.
Yeah.
Even though they do lock their children in, they did lock Peter in the basement. So I don't know how good they are. Part of me keeps going back to that. It's like, that seems like, I mean, I guess so he doesn't listen to the girl, but then they still put him back in the room. But it doesn't matter.
Well, but then the thing that doesn't make sense for me is that, it doesn't listen to the girl, but isn't that where the girl is? Because he sees her, he moves the stuff over, and then like he sees the sub-basement area.
Wait, but does he see the girl in it? Because at the very end she goes, they kept me in a pit. They kept me underground, and then they put me in the wall. So I'm assuming they keep moving her. So that's where she was originally. That's how I took it.
So that is one of the issues we watched a screener. One of the problems that I had was just, and no, this isn't a problem with the movie. I'm saying literally one of my physical issues was that I couldn't see a couple things in the film because of
emails.
For those that are unaware, for screeners, they'll have like your name or your email like right in the dead center. And so especially for that, I was like, I couldn't tell what was in that shot, so I thought it was the girl that was laying down there, but it could have been a doll.
It's a teddy bear.
A doll?
It was a teddy bear.
Okay.
Yeah. It was because it had her name Sarah on the tag.
Oh, okay. See, yeah, I did not catch that because I was like, why is she down there and why is she not talking to him? So that makes more sense.
But we agree though that you know, the first little chunk of the movie, they hint it could be supernatural because the kid's hearing voices. It's Peter, and he's telling him to do stuff. Mm-hmm. She's like guiding him to do evil things, and I like that where he goes and the bully. Hold on, I wrote the kid's name down because the kid was great. Ryan is the kid in the movie. His real name is Luke Busey or Bussey. I don't know names anymore.
Luke Busey, is he a Busey? He looks like a Busey.
Oh, he is blonde, isn't he? He could be. I could see that being Jake Busey's kid.
It's Gary Busey's kid.
Gary or Jake?
Gary, 12-year-old son of Gary Busey.
Gary's still playing in the field, huh? Okay.
Hey, it's his wife. Like he's with. So.
I didn't know he's still married. I mean, he's had some issues. Didn't he just get assault charges for like grabbing girls at conventions?
I don't know.
Whatever. Well, I got my own problems, and we're here talking about Cobweb. Kid was great, but I'm saying that the scene where he's getting bullied, then comes home, and again, I'm going to say it's a ghost in the wall. Because at this point, I'm not thinking it's a real thing. I'm thinking it's a ghost. And she's like, stand up. Don't let them push you around. And he goes and pushes the kid down the stairs. I was like, oh, I'm giggling like a schoolgirl. I'm like, this ghost is going to create some shit. And then becomes, again, then it's no ghost. It's a kid and the parents are murderers and it's people on the stairs.
Yeah.
And that's the movie. And they set up so well and everything makes sense. The skull in the yard, the dad. Actually, I'm confused. So he had the big like gush on his hand. Was that just from like yard work or was that like them feeding the monster?
My interpretation of that was that he was dealing with her and that he got injured. That's what I took it as. Because
that was the only thing I could think of. But the skull they found, I'm assuming, was the little girl that disappeared from trick-or-treating, which was killed by the monster, hence why they probably put her in the wall, right?
Yeah, I think that was the final straw of them being like, okay, you are a monster. We can't. And
I'm going to refer to it as a monster because to me, and again, I got three issues total, and they're all very small. One of them is at the very end when they say something, but it is a monster to me. It'll always be a monster. I don't like explanations of monsters. So this is a monster. They birthed a monster.
Yeah.
It's in a weird fantasy world where shit can happen.
Yeah. Because one of my negatives is inconsistencies in terms of her strength, the monster's strength, because she can like walk along the ceiling and stuff and like she's like full on pulling guys' heads off and shit.
Yeah, people are like exploding under the piano. I was like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah, which
monster.
Very cool. But then you think of it and you're like, wait, so how could she not break out of this old decrepit house?
Yeah.
It's like,
but you gotta, that's one of those I'm okay with. Here's the small issue I have with her is they actually say in a line of dialogue, which I would easily cut. For some reason, if the filmmakers ever see this, you have a masterpiece, cut just a couple things. And one of them is when she's on top of the bed and she's telling Peter essentially that she was born and she learned to crawl and learn to be like a spider from the actual spiders and sort of trained. And I'm like, no, you're a monster. No, I don't want you. Don't tell me you're fucking human that was just born weird looking and that you like gain skills. Like, that's stupid. just cut that out. I don't need to know what you are. I just know that you were born. You're born a monster, and they're like, fuck, we got to keep this somewhere safe. You know,
I disagree. I like the explanation.
You're different because I like when things go to a fantasy and sort of a mystical element. Mm-hmm. I hate realism when there shouldn't be. You want the explanation. We've talked about this before. Yeah. You want them to kind of go like, it was radiation from the meteor. And I'm like, cut that shit out. I don't want to know.
Any questions that I might have, I like to have the film answer it versus like an open-ended question that then can just be debated, which can be fun. It's like the ending of Inception. It's like, it's fun to talk about, but I do like to have some like very distinct.
Fair enough, but for monsters though, come on, meet me somewhere in the middle. For
monsters, for the most part,
be a monster.
For the most part, I would agree with you. But they have the whole setup of the father, like the son aspect, the kid aspect, where it's like, because that's how she's able to manipulate Peter, is that she's like, they're gonna do the same thing to you that they did to me.
Yeah, but that's why I thought. But I like that because she's a lying monster. She just like was waiting for him to get older to manipulate him. I don't want this to be a person that learned to crawl on the walls, because then nothing makes sense. Then how are you crawling on walls? How are you doing backflips? How are you pulling heads off, ripping bodies apart? All of a sudden, the whole thing falls apart.
She's been training.
With what protein? With what protein? You know what I'm saying? Like,
she's eating those spiders.
Yeah.
That's why they're in her hair.
Very cool shot we talked about, because you talked about the amazing projection of the parents on the staircase. Did you notice it was like a split diopter only? I don't know if it's actually split diopter because they didn't have the cool little like fog thing in the middle, but there's a part where there's a rug, and I want to say it's Miss Divine, and then you have stop motion shadow of her kind of walking like a spider going down the hall, and I was like, that is cool, because that could have easily maybe it's CGI, but it's looks like stop motion to me. You know what I'm talking about? I
am desperate to find out how they did her as a monster, because it's not just the shadow that they do that weird stop motion thing. Sometimes it's her.
So then it's cool. Yeah.
Where I'm like, what? I desperately want to know how they did that, because I don't have a fucking clue.
Once we reveal a monster, right, then it becomes sort of this like, it's a monster film, right? It's actiony. It's like fun in a weird way. Like at this point, kids are. I mean, it was a little corny that the kids go to break in the house, and I was like, I don't know if this is going to work. And then the second becomes like a bloodbath. I'm like, nope. This is what, because I was like, don't make this a scary cat and mouse game. I was like, don't do that, man. Like, because up to that point it works, but if you just add kids in the house, I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. But if you're just going to be murdering teenagers, and this is now just an unstoppable force, it's like, I like that a lot. A good example of her being unstoppable is, I don't know if you remember, but they knock her into that pit, and she immediately does this cool like backflip to get up. She's like it didn't almost do anything to her. Like it was an inconvenience, and I was like, I like that. Like she is not putting up with their bullshit. And there's a lot of scenes that become action and very interesting in that like last 15, 20 minutes. And I think that is something that I think will turn some people off. I really do. I think some people are not going to like that, because like, no, it was really slow burn and creepy. And it's like, yeah, but now we're having a cool action bloodbath. It kind of like, I think a better done Malignant in a way.
That is what I've been telling everyone, of like, this is a spiritual sister film to Malignant.
I could see that. But Malignant was very like 90s VHS kind of,
just like a big twist that is going to be very polarizing for people. And it's like, I don't know. I saw so many parallels because I loved Malignant. I thought it was a lot of fun. I think this is a better movie. That was very schlocky and like, but this is
I no 100% agree. This is far superior. Malignant, I liked, but it took me a while to like because I wasn't sure if Juan was bad on purpose or if he really just thought he was making a good movie. And I believe it's on purpose. I can't prove it. This there's no schlock. I mean, it handles that weird sort of ending well, whether you like it or not. Like, I don't find it to be sort of, I'm not laughing at it. I'm like, oh, it's actually super cool. It's just a different type of movie than the first half. So you could easily be disappointed. I wasn't.
The very, very ending, I will say, is one of my big negatives.
That's number 3 for me.
It's just like, what you guys just wanted a tag? Was that what it was? Because the story is over and she's caught, and then they're essentially going like, I'll always, every creek, you'll think it's me. So then is this in his head or is this actually like a year down the road and they're showing it? I
took it's in his head, like when she's explaining it.
That's what I hope.
But in all honesty, though, it only makes sense if what I thought was going to be the ending, where they then cut back to like the reality and they start dosing it with kerosene and lighting her on fire. Like I was like, oh, they're going to kill her. That's her saying, "I will get you." And they're like, okay. And him and Miss Divine, like they should have done this fucking like wide angle. They both look at each other and it's like, let's fucking do it. And they douse her, or I don't know, maybe cut her in pieces.
Yeah,
but literally
like, well,
just have them.
Yeah, have them look, and then just have literally next cut is them outside the house and it's on fire. You leave it up if you want a sequel, like, okay, maybe she got out, blah, blah, blah. But then you still have a definitive ending versus...
This movie doesn't end. It does. It just sort of stops.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, they didn't finish it because she's in a cage, which is not enough.
Yeah.
Like, she's right, though. They'll only hold her for like maybe like an hour if she really tries.
Yeah.
You can put some on top of it. So what, are you guys going to get the cops? Going to kill yourself? I mean, where are we going with this?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, dude, you could have ended... And maybe I don't know if they could have ended earlier. Like, really, they could have ended with Divine walking out the house and the door shuts, credits, Peter's fucking dead. Cool. I mean, that's still open-ended, but at least, okay, well, nobody wins. This, I'm like, well, now you got to finish the thought because you started the thought.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I wonder too, because this movie didn't get much of any promotion. I haven't seen like anything about it. So it makes me wonder of how much they're just dumping it and didn't do reshoots to then potentially help out that ending, because this is produced by Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg, so it's like very big names and people that do good things. And so I'm very, very confused about the release strategy for this, because I think it's a fantastic movie, and so it doesn't make a lot of sense to me that it's...
Let's just talk about this. So this is, I would say, unique, cool little horror film. I think the kind of horror movie that at least theoretically people ask for.
Mm-hmm.
This is the first thing I said when I finished this is what I hope to see. Whether it works for people or not, I really hope we can all come together and be like, this is unique. It's interesting. It's not boring IP. It's not just a rehash. It's not jump scares. It is a unique horror film.
Mm-hmm.
But okay, it's July. It comes right after Mission Impossible, right before Oppenheimer and Barbie.
Same day as Oppenheimer
it's the same
and Barbie.
Day? Yeah. Oh, I guess because I obviously I got the screen early. Then even dumber. Like they must be being dumped, which breaks my heart because everybody involved from Mr. Sam Bodine, I apologize, all the way down to Caplan, Starr, Busey, Norman. This is a fantastic movie. Why the fuck would you put this in July next to the biggest blockbusters in the world? I know people are like, people show up for horror. It's like, no, not when there's legitimately cool movies around. Like, what are we doing here? Dude, why is this not in fucking October? There's a pumpkin patch in the backyard. I don't understand this. It's
set on Halloween. Oh,
you're right. It ends the trick-or-treaters. Yeah. But I'm just saying, why aren't people putting these movies in October? Even if it wasn't, even if it's just a horror movie, it's like, I lived through Octobers, and I find that the movies in the theaters are, pardon my French, dog shit when it comes to horror films.
They'll do like one release.
Yes, it's not like it's overcrowded. That's why they don't do it. It's bare bones.
Mm-hmm.
So this is perfect, and I don't know. Hopefully they re-release it, but they're how about this? No matter what happens, it is dead in the water right now because it is the most awkward release I could think of.
Which really sucks. I saw this 2 months ago and essentially have just been waiting, waiting to talk about it, waiting to see the buzz start going up for it, and just this movie has essentially just come and gone, and I'm very disappointed with that fact because it is it's my favorite horror film of the summer.
It's definitely it's going to be on my list for sure. I don't know where. It's one of my favorites for sure. I don't know. I don't want to say anything online because then it's here forever. So I'm going to wait to make a list. But I'm going to say it is one of my favorite horror movies of 2023. And come December 24th, when you and me are making our lists for the end of the year, it is absolutely going to be on it. It's cool. It's unique. It's fun. It's creepy. It's everything that I want. Beautiful looking, great acting, cool ideas.
Yeah, I could not agree more. So, what would you rate this bad boy?
I want to say 8, though it could go higher. But I've only seen it once, and as you point out with your screener, my screener sucked as well. I just think the screeners look like shit nowadays, and anytime there's a dark scene, I just see noise. So I'd like to experience it again, but I'm going to say that I can't see this going down, only going up.
Yep.
But I'm going to be safe and say this is a solid 8, like a good 8, maybe on the way up. What about you?
Yeah, I'm right there with you. 8 out of 10. My review should have released on Joe Blow this past week. And yeah, I toyed a lot with a 9 out of 10, a lot. But ultimately, it was the ending. The ending is what brought it down to an 8 for me. Otherwise, everything else in this movie is a 9. I am just blown away by the performances and just how I mean, playing with expectations are just massive for me because how it goes. We watch a lot of movies. So actually surprising me with something unique is very rare because a lot of films just follow the same beats. And so
it's easy to sell.
Yeah, and the fact that this feels so unique, it's probably why we're probably answering the reason as to why the marketing has been so shitty, because they don't know how to market it.
See, that always annoys me, because just make an interesting, cool trailer, spoil nothing.
The trailer they released was great.
I'd have to watch it again. I remember being like, it seemed okay, but at the same time, trailers spoil so much that this really needs a word of mouth, which I think it could get if it wasn't in the worst time. Like I said, we just did Mission Impossible, we have Oppenheimer, we have Barbie. Those are the biggest movies of the summer. Yeah. What the fuck are we doing?
Yeah.
What are we doing? Just push it back, man. Push it to September. What's in September? Nothing.
Saw 10, they just announced.
Saw X, then go against Saw 10 or whatever it is. Whatever. Okay, if that's competition, we're fine, because that's a different style of movie, and 2 horror movies can exist at the same time. I'm hearing more about Talk to Me, or is that what's called Talk to Me, the hand one?
Yes.
Than about Cobweb, and I haven't seen that one, so it could be good.
It's A24.
Yeah, but listen, I love a lot of those movies, but nothing is a guarantee, and they've also put out some shit, so I'm not gonna immediately think they're great. That could have just been a buyback.
A24 has good cinematography, even if the story sucks. So
sure,
at least expect good cinematography.
But I'm the kind of guy, and it's just my personality, that I never like giving carte blanche to any company, just because that's how we lose in the end. Where then we got fanboys where it's like, oh my god, like, just don't drop it on Friday. There's a SAG strike, the WGA strike. Just push this back, man. It's all good. Push it back. Let's give this a proper release, because I really, man, think that this is one of those that's gonna come back in a couple of years as like a cult classic. And I guess that's how it goes. I didn't get to live through The Thing. I wasn't really aware of Big Trouble in Little China. Like, I don't want to be in life where I love a movie and then it takes 20 years for people to agree with me. You could agree with me now. It'd make my life a lot easier, so I could chat and laugh and talk.
I guess the one advantage that we have with this release is that it will likely be digital by Halloween. So I think that depending on what streaming service it goes to, it could find second life there. That is, especially with, Antony Starr, because then The Boys was actually supposed to premiere, I think, next month, which was now pushed back. So it might work out just because people are excited to see The Boys, or then... But then again, The Boys might not come out for a while, because they've already stated, like, hey, we have to do all of our ADR. So, like, even though we're done filming, like, the season's not even close to started, so we can't, like, start airing anything. It might be one of those things where it then doesn't align, but I'm fingers crossed that then Cobweb gets seen in October by the right people, because I'm hoping that all these people that are watching this video will go out and see it, because it's great, it's worth seeing. And I know that, my local theater does not have this playing. they have Barbie and Oppenheimer. So
if yours doesn't, mine doesn't.
Yeah. So like, I get it with this being all like not out in enough places, but I know I'm going to try and hunt it down because I want to support it, especially during, because I mean, I have tickets to Oppenheimer and Barbie. It's like, I want to make sure I'm supporting the film that I really want to do well this weekend. So, but we'll see.
I can see this. I could see me adding to this in my October rotation, actually. Barring some unforeseen twist in my opinion on it. Like it's a October feeling movie. It's a fall movie, and I love the fall. I really do. It doesn't really exist anymore. I'd fight anybody on that. People, I love the fall. It's like fall's like 2 days. Half of fall is winter. So, well, at least where I'm from. But I could definitely see myself putting this in the rotation. Absolutely, because this was a solid banger. It's felt like that month, and I love that feeling.
Awesome. Well, I think that we've covered Cobweb then. So next week on the show, again, we're not doing the brand new releases. And so we're going to go back to the year 2013. And this has actually been something that's been requested in the comments on multiple occasions. And so next week we will be doing Evil Dead 2013. And Lance and John will be joining me for that. Very, very excited. I know Lance is as well. So yeah, you guys have that to look forward to next week. And yeah, we will see you then. Bye-bye.